Hello and welcome to the Not the Old Firm YouTube channel. My name is Ben Banks. A happy new year to you as we head into 2021. Hopefully brighter times for all, but as always on the sort of over the festive fixtures as they came to a close, Scottish football certainly delivered. We'll look back a wee bit on the games that happened before Hogmanay, as well as primarily the ones on the 2nd of January. There's been a fair amount of talking points to go through. The table starting to look slightly different. They always say if, where you are at this time of the year is pretty much where you'll be come the end of the season, give or take a few places. And that certainly seems to be the shaping up for this season. On Wednesday, 30th of December, fixtures played out. Celtic 3, Dundee United 0, St Johnstone 0, Hamilton 0, St Mirren 0, Rangers 2, Hibs 0, Ross County 2, and Motherwell 0, Kilmarnock 2. So lots of 2-0 away victories on the Wednesday. But that set up for a massive weekend, particularly at Motherwell, which we'll go on to speak about. Stephen Robinson resigning as Motherwell manager after almost 4 years in charge. I believe he was one of the longest serving SPFL managers in Scotland, and then obviously no more, he's away. And then on 2nd of January, two big derbies on the Saturday, Aberdeen, Dundee United in the new firm, and the Lanarkshire derby between Hamilton and Motherwell, as well as three other fixtures: Aberdeen 0, Dundee United 0, Hamilton 3, Motherwell 0, Hibs 0, Livingston 3, Kilmarnock 1, St Mirren 1, Ross County 1, St Johnstone 1. So plenty of action happening. The table looks obviously Rangers and Celtic first and second, Aberdeen in third, Hibs in fourth. Third and fourth starting to have a wee bit of a gap between it now, albeit Aberdeen might only be 3 points clear of Hibs, but Hibs having lost three of their fixtures over the festive period means that Aberdeen are 3 points ahead with 2 games in hand after their game against Livingston on Wednesday was suspended because of a frozen pitch. Livingston in fifth, who got their 7th win on the spin at Easter Road and a really good 3-0 victory for them. They're in fifth, and Dundee United on 6th. And then we've got St Mirren in 7th. This is where the sort of table starts to get split a bit. St Mirren, albeit 3 games in hand, but 4 points off Dundee United in 6th on 22 points. Kilmarnock below them on 21. St Johnstone in 9th on 19 points. Hamilton out the bottom 2 on 18 points. And then Motherwell and Ross County joint bottom. Right, on to the Saturday. Start Aberdeen 0, Dundee United 0. Dundee United just seem to be doing this season. They just seem to be parking the bus, grinding out results, albeit they're not really firing going forward, but they're doing what everybody else sort of below third and fourth isn't really doing on a consistent basis, and that's getting at least a point week to week.
Yeah, they're just doing what they need to do to kind of keep themselves afloat in division, so it's kind of hard to fault them for it. They're kind of firing blanks a bit an attack, which is surprising given what they've got at their disposal. I mean, like Shankland, Mickey Clark and Mark McNulty's not exactly kind of a poor forward line, but it is what it is for them.
Yeah, Aberdeen obviously will be frustrated as well, just with obviously Hibs losing again. If they'd have won this, just hit one of their many shots on target into the net, then you start to see a fairly sizable gap opening up. That game in hand against Livingston, which was postponed not too far away in 10 days' time as we record this. We have got another game if we're going in chronological order, but I'm going to leave this game till last because I've got a feeling that that club might dominate the talking points, as well as another club that I want to talk about in a wee bit of detail. So we'll move on to Hibs Livingston for now, where we heard from Jack Ross and David Martindale at the end of that. Jack Ross wanting better from his players after a third defeat on the spin, whereas David Martindale had plenty of plays for Josh Mullen, the Livingston winger, hitting really good form. His crosses into the box are phenomenal at present. Is it really better in the Premiership? David Martindale can only think of.
We didn't do all aspects of the game well enough today. We didn't defend properly. We weren't creative enough and more. We did moving forward. Going forward, sorry. So no, we didn't play well enough to get into the game. I mean, I think today, two disappointing results. I think the performance was some way south. I think in the midweek, we didn't play well enough today, and as I mentioned earlier, all aspects of the game. So it's not panic station because we've had in the main a good season and players have done a lot of good things, but as an acute reminder to them that if we don't do the basic part of the game properly, in terms of how you compete, how you defend, and how we keep trusting in what we're doing, because we've lost the way a little bit when we've conceded in the last 2 games, then it's not easy to get results. So we've got a break coming up, an extended break if you like, so we'll draw breath but remind ourselves within that period of why we've had and by and large positive results this season. We've got such a long time now, but a relatively long time until the next game, so physically we need to have a rest, because for what game we give everybody, mentally it gives everybody a chance, staff as well, and then look forward to the challenge of that, because we've got an exciting month ahead in terms of league games and obviously the semi-final, but it's a little bit of a key moment for us. We've had a couple of them this season that we've had to step back and say where do we want to go, and we've responded in the main pretty well. This is another one for us, do we want the season to drift, or do we want to make sure we achieve what we've set out to do this season? And I've got a lot of faith in the group, but I think they know that they were along the shot we needed to be today.
I thought the boys were great. The game plan worked perfectly, and to be honest, I think a wee bit more intricacy in the final third, looking after the ball. It probably should have been another couple of goals, and I don't think Max and Liverpool had a lot to do. They had to deal with a lot of balls into the box, but when you see Dodge go off the park, that makes you a little bit more relaxed, because Dodge is fantastic in the air, and that's something we worked on. So it was good. The game plan worked very well. Josh, see, to be honest, since probably Josh has come into the club, more so as I've took over, I think Josh has been brilliant. I think I could say that for most of the starting, all of the starting 11 in all the games, but I think Josh he's added a wee bit of creativity out there. And I've said it on a number of occasions. I said it when we signed him. I honestly think his deliveries on his right foot are second to none. I think there's a couple of players in the league that could probably better, maybe Tavernier, but out with that, I think Josh's deliveries are phenomenal. It's been natural since Josh signed with us for Albion Rovers when we were in the Championship, then got relegated. It's always been something. I've noticed Josh doesn't really stay out and do extra, but he does do it within the training programme. So we're out training for 90 minutes, like never 45 minutes sometimes, and you'll see Josh working on that. I do a lot of crossing and finishing at the club, so that probably gets him the practice he needs, but he's been like that since day one when he signed with the club the first time round.
Kilmarnock won, St Mirren won, and we heard from Alex Dyer and Jim Goodwin at the end of that one. If you've not seen St Mirren's goal in this, pretty bizarre. Danny Whitehall getting his second goal in as many games, looked to have given Kilmarnock the victory in this one, but then a cross into the box, Danny Rogers caught it and then proceeded to backtrack over the line with the ball still in his hands, and it was one each. St Mirren, Kilmarnock, it was a fairly even game, but Kilmarnock, obviously, the way they lost it is just so unfortunate for Danny Rogers. I know a lot of people have given them an absolute barrage of abuse and stuff and criticism online, but really need to think about how he was feeling after that one. And Alex Dyer and Jim Goodwin spoke after the game about how they seen the game.
Yeah, it was he was caught in between whether he should have maybe punched it and he caught it, he went to catch it, fell back, momentum took him back, and it ball went over the line. So, gutted for him and gutted for the team, because we played well during the game. Game should have been put to bed by half time, to be honest. We had enough opportunities, enough chances to put it to bed, and we didn't. And once you don't do that, it gives them a chance to stay in the game and get an opportunity right at the death, and it comes right for them and not for us. Yeah, that's right. We were comfortable. He was comfortable. Everything that come his way, he handled to the last little bit. Whether it comes down to decision making. I'm not a goalie. I'm not a goalie coach. So what he would have done in that situation, only he and the goalie coach knows about. But overall this season he's done very well for us. And it's just, like I say, maybe a lack of judgment. But like I said, we got to brush ourselves down. We got to go again next week. We've got another tough game against Hamilton, and look to put it right. But it's another game unbeaten. We went 5-6 games without winning anything, and then we won in the week, and we got a point today. So we take that and we move on.
At the time, I'm thinking somebody's pushed him, but there's actually nobody anywhere near him. Goalkeeper's just unfortunate that he kind of lost his balance as he landed and then ended up carrying the ball over the line, which obviously we're delighted about, because it didn't look like that goal was going to come, and obviously that late on in the game you're concerned and thinking it's just not going to be our day. But I think it's a good point in the end. We weren't anywhere near our best. Kilmarnock were excellent, I thought, in the first half, and deservedly took the lead and deserved to win at half time in front. Second half I thought we were better. I thought we moved the ball a little bit quicker, and I've got to give credit to the players. It's been an extremely busy 3 weeks for us. I think today was our 7th game, a real busy schedule, so I've got to credit the players for the fitness levels, for being able to get through the game, and hopefully there'll be no injuries off the back of it. We didn't have a great deal of joy in the wide areas at all today, and we've got an extremely quick winger in Dylan Connolly, and I don't think we utilised his pace enough. But yeah, look, I mean, we weren't at our best. You've got to give Kilmarnock credit for that. The surface was really difficult, so I've got to commend both sets of players, because it was really firm underfoot, and it was touch and go, I think, before the game. So I think on the balance, Kelly were the better team first half. I thought we were the better team second half. I don't think either goalkeeper has had a great deal to do. I can't remember, Danny Rogers made a really good save for the header, but apart from that, I don't think there's been a great deal in the game. So probably a point was fair.
Ross County versus St Johnstone, another battle at the bottom, a 1-1 draw. Between them, Ross Draper opened the scoring for John Hughes' side as they looked to build on their 2-0 victory over Hibs, but it wasn't to be. Craig Conway's penalty, the finishing of scoring up in the Highlands, and a point for them. And just to touch on Ross County a wee bit, because I think when John Hughes came in, there was a lot of scepticism about how long he'd been out the game and whether he could still turn it on and off as he can, and how passionate he can be. We've had enough experience with him to know that. But he seems to have perhaps learnt from his own lessons. They still have the trademark passing and attacking flair that John Hughes' side has, but Ross County certainly look a lot more stable defensively in recent weeks.
To be fair, I actually think it was a bit of unfair criticism of John, in that his teams couldn't be pragmatic, because I think a lot of the time they could. I think more often than not, where they were in the kind of grand scheme of things, there wasn't a whole lot for them to gain by doing it. Because I think if you look particularly at Falkirk and even Inverness side in particular, and on their day they could be as hard to beat and tough to break down as anybody else. They weren't just teams who played some decent, pretty football. They had a bit defensively as well. So the fact that you've got your Ross County team doing it now, it shouldn't be a huge surprise. I think if they'd been a bit further up the table, they probably wouldn't have been set up as quite so, I don't want to say defence-minded, but so solidly. So I think he's making the most of the situation that he's in, and see if he can do the unthinkable and keep County up.
I think it looks a lot more likely than it did a few weeks ago. I know it was only 4 points they were cut adrift, but when you looked at the squad and things like that, I don't know, you just sort of thought, can he get a tune out of that? But he seems to have got something out of it. It looks like they have at least responded to his initial messaging. They've got a tough run of fixtures, to be fair. They're playing Livingston away next weekend before Aberdeen at home, and then Rangers away. The big one for them probably in the next coming weeks is the back-to-back games they've got at the end of January. Motherwell at home, which on evidence of the table as we stand now, could be an absolutely massive game, and that's followed up by potentially an even bigger one against Hamilton in a week's time after that. Because that potentially, it all depends on how the Motherwell game goes, because if they win that, then the Hamilton game probably takes on a bit more significance. But I think Ross County, if they can recruit well, John Hughes seems to have at least got them playing well enough in the last couple of games. If they can get a positive result away to Livingston, which I think will be a hard ask, but if they manage to do that, then I think they can start to think more proper serious about their survival ambitions.
Absolutely. These are the kind of games where if they can get something from it, it's going to be massive for them to stay up. I would not be surprised at all if he does it. Would not be surprised at all.
No, I'd be delighted for him. There's not many people who deserve something more than John Hughes in Scottish football. But another obviously team involved in this game were St Johnstone. They're far from out the woods as well. The bottom four separated by just a couple of points. And we heard from John Hughes and Callum Davidson at the end of the 1-1 draw in Dingwall.
First half, it was a game of two halves. First half I felt we were very good. in terms of passing the ball. Got our goal, had a few other chances, but second half it was also Johnston we were under the cosh, and stood up to it, to be fair. And late on, I think we could have nicked it off the set piece, but saying that, Big Ross had a great save. So over the piece, game of two halves, probably fair result. But funny you were saying that, we were saying that on the bench, you know, we need to just see us out and help us out and all that stuff, but we're not going to point the finger of blame. I'm quite sure you know, we're on it together, we win together, lose together. I'm just happy with their commitment, what they're digging in. It's been a hard 4 games in 12 days, you know, they need to rest up, and all kinds of things that have happened in terms of, you know, me picking up injuries when you're not expecting that. You know, Carroll, man of the match, I felt against Hibs, and, you know, just felt a tight hamstring. So, but we just need to get on with it. That's football. I'm delighted when I'm in spirit and the desire, and had to stand up to it in the second half. I think we've done that.
Yeah, I thought after 20 minutes, after that, you can see the first goal. But then we actually started a lot of goal. I think the problem for me was the tendency we pressed that, and their work rate for the first 10 minutes wasn't good enough. I think we sorted out, got better, got the goal, and then I thought especially for the last couple of minutes of the game, I thought we were the better team. Yeah, you know, I can't fault them. You know, their application probably the 60-minute period, 70-minute period was excellent. Difficult conditions, the pitch was quite obviously soft and slidey, so it made it quite hard to play football on, but I thought the lads performed really well. I'm not quite sure it stacks up. I think obviously we started poorly, probably the poorest we've actually started in the game this season. For me, we went a goal down, but I thought the reaction was great, so it's a tough one. You know, I think the second half we probably had the majority of chances up until the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. We had the majority of chances. For me, we've got to take them and then put them under pressure and put the game to bed. But you know, we gave them opportunity to try and get 3 points. Probably on that side, it's funny because you're probably thankful for Zander to get to the point in the end.
Right, we left one game to the end because obviously it's the big talking point. Sort of in the last few days, Motherwell, obviously Stephen Robinson resigning from there, Keith Lasley taking on interim charge, the former club midfielder, then club captain, now assistant manager, now interim boss at Fir Park. But it couldn't have started any worse from a really concerning defeat for Motherwell, a 3-0 defeat to Hamilton Accies, off the back of a 2-0 defeat to Kilmarnock at Fir Park, a Kelly side, albeit perhaps just a bit out of form. They've lost 5 in the bounce, but another team around them in the Scottish Premiership, and it's looking pretty bleak for Motherwell at the moment. I don't think there's any way of sort of beating around the bush with this one. Obviously, before we go on to speak about Motherwell's situation, it should be noted that a very, very good day for Hamilton. I think this was the first time they've scored 3 past an opposition since 2017 in the top flight, and to do it against their local rivals just after the new year. It's not the first time they did that. They obviously beat Motherwell 5-0 a few years ago. And I think as well, I think that's only 1 derby defeat in 6 for Accies. So Brian Rice clearly finding out a way to play his best stuff against Motherwell, and he was delighted with his side afterwards.
I couldn't ask for a better start to the new year. You know, I thought on Wednesday getting a point at St Johnstone, clean sheet was really good, but that today was exceptional today. You know, playing our local rivals, first game of the new year, scoring 3 goals and keeping a clean sheet. You know, I'm absolutely delighted for everybody. The grittiness, the determination not to lose a goal, even at 3-0, and you know, we created more chances. We could have had a couple more, but just delighted that we got the 3 points. It was a big game for us today. You know, and you're playing your local rivals. It's a game that you want to win. You want to win it well, and I think we've done that today. I think today it was a combination of a lot of things. You know, I'm not making excuses. It's just facts I state when I say we've had COVID situations, injury situations, and I just think you see I've got a group of players, young players. Easton goes off, I bring a young centre half on, young Hamilton's playing, Andy Winter, who I thought was absolutely outstanding. A group of young players who play for that. They don't play for the name in the back of the jersey, they play for the name in the front of it. And as long as they do that, you know, I can't have any complaints. And there's a bit of an experience in there, and there will be days where we get it wrong, badly wrong, and I get it badly wrong, and I've had my hands up. But today's like today, where they do everything proper, you know, we're not that bad a team.
obviously, a great day for Accies, but it was probably just, I mean, the 3-0 defeat's probably not even the worst thing that's happened to Mull this week, with everything that's been going on. It just capped off what has been a really torturous few weeks. Obviously, Stephen Robinson has did so much for Mull, and there's a real shame to see him go. Before I give a couple of my thoughts, were you shocked to see Stephen Robinson go?
Yes and no. It was a really weird one because when you look at the table and you look at where Motherwell are compared to where they've been recently, it's not a huge shock that he's gone. But at the same time, when you look at where he had Motherwell a year ago, it's a bit of a shock. So it's a weird one. I think as well, looking at kind of the potential candidates there are, and there's no. It would have made more sense probably had Motherwell sacked him rather than Robinson deciding that no, it's time to go and they've probably taken this as far as I can take it. So it's the whole thing's just a bit weird. I'll be very, very surprised if Keith Lasley has any long-term kind of position as manager. I'd be shocked at that one. I expect Motherwell will bring somebody external in, but I mean, who would it be?
Yeah. From what I gather from Mull, when you look at the list, it's the same list as was mentioned with the Ross County job, same list that was mentioned with the Livingston job, and the list before that. Tommy Wright, albeit you can add a few extra names in, you can add Gary Holt's name into it. I see Stuart Kettlewell actually mentioned in one particular list, but apart from that, it's the same old Derek Adams, Billy Davies, all these sort of old school managers. We can take John Hughes off it now that he's at Ross County, but there's nobody really. For me personally, it's better the devil you know. I don't think Mull. You can't say that Mull have had a good season. It has been a poor term. The 6 points that they got when they were sitting in fifth was a bit of a false position because overall their form was more aligned with a team that was down the bottom of the table. But I mean, Mull, when you compare, and I don't want to use this as an excuse for their form, but when you compare it to Dundee United coming back into the league and things like that, Mull historically, albeit perhaps not in the last 10 years, but historically before that have always been sort of in and around that bottom six. And especially Mull fans sort of maybe around my age, or people who grew up.
12.
No, 9 actually. But people around my age at primary school who grew up supporting Mull have been very lucky to see so many great modern teams. And Stephen Robinson's achievement, I think it's similar to Gary Holt. He's a bit of a victim of his own success. I think Mull fans just now just see top six as a guarantee. When you look at the budgets and stuff, Mull really have been punching up for a number of years, and that sort of it happened with Stuart McCall as well. I mean, he had that second place finish, Champions League, Europa League football. Then he had a season where it just couldn't keep it going, and then he had to walk as well. And so it's a similar type scenario to Stephen Robinson.
Let me put it this way to you, Ben. See if I was to push you and ask you for a name. Like, is there anybody that immediately jumps to mind and you would think he would be a good candidate?
Long term, and I spoke to you a bit about North Canada, the very, very ambitious one that jumps out to me is Mitchell van der Gaag. I understand that he had taken a previous interest in the Mull job back in 2016 when Mark McGee left. He was one of the candidates there. I believe he was one of the candidates before Mark McGee got the job as well. And he took a real interest in it. Obviously a former Mull player back in the day before my time when I was born in 2012. But he's now reserve manager at Ajax. He's a coach in the second division of Dutch football. I think long term, somebody like him who's obviously got the experience of working in one of the best academies, coming into Mull, where the business model is develop youngsters, bring them in, or sell low, or buy low and sell high, he would fit the business model as well. Because I think that's another thing. If you bring in Tommy Wright, is Tommy Wright really going to be the guy to bring in a 17, 18-year-old David Turnbull, Alan Campbell, and then sell them on? I don't really see it. I mean, your St Johnstone team had an average age of about 31.
But I was counter that by saying the first priority would be staying in the Premiership.
But yeah, of course, the first priority is staying in the division. I don't think even a short-term appointment to keep them up, and then you look further forward towards a Van der Gaag type character in the summer is the worst idea. But I don't know. Really, there's nobody. I think Van der Gaag would be a very, very ambitious and also a very good appointment. But Mull having, like most clubs, you know what I mean, it's hard to pay money for players, never mind managers in this climate. So I think it's a really difficult time to get a manager, especially not that Stephen Robinson's fault or anything, but obviously he's left one day before the transfer window. Probably makes making transfers harder. It probably makes getting players on extended contracts harder. So you don't get a manager into the middle of the month. He's then left with 10 to 15 days to get in players. It's a really, really tough one. Anything you want to add on the Mull situation?
That's it, really. I mean, you've kind of covered all the bases there in your lengthy diatribe.
Yes, aye. From obviously, I've been fortunate enough to get to know Stephen Robinson, those at Mull a bit more, especially over the last sort of 12 months. And the one thing I can say is Stephen Robinson would not have walked from that had he believed that he could turn that around. I think he firmly did, but obviously
just get the call made and get him on here.
Well, not in a sense, because I did obviously had a wee brief chat with him over WhatsApp after he left, and obviously he's a bit gutted about it, but that's football.
Get him on the show.
Well, we'll need to see. We'll give him a couple of months off. I've been annoying him every Friday for the last 12 months, so I'll give him a break for me, and then I'll give him a ring. Bye. That's all we've got time for on this review. We hope you have enjoyed. Do remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Plenty of content coming in the next few weeks. Obviously, the festive fixtures might be done, but there's more to come with the amount of frozen pitch postponements over the weekend and over the festive period. There's still games every few days now because of that, because Scottish weather and COVID doesn't exactly make for a perfect cocktail. So plenty of games coming, as well as that the League Cup semi-finals are on the horizon. So all the building, as well as that, it's January transfer time, so we're going to get to silly season where players are linked with here, there and everywhere, both in the short term and the long term as contracts come to an end. So January is always a busy month, and you can catch up with all the action, latest news here on Not the Old Firm, both on our YouTube channel and our Twitter and our website. Right, if I haven't already said it once, I'll say it a million times. Do remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, take it easy.